Hey guys, this is Min from the podcast WTF and a semi-regular on the Podside podcast. I'm there for almost every show. And this is a Let's Play of EVE Online. We're just a couple weeks before the Winter Retribution expansion, so I might redo these tutorials again later if they've made some significant changes. But the purpose of this Let's Play is to try to teach people about EVE Online, interjecting my 3 years of experience into the game as much as possible by running through the tutorial, and depending on how long it takes to get through that, possibly exploring some other parts of the game. So here we are. I just logged into a 21-day trial account for the first time. We're going to make a new character. There are 4 main factions in EVE Online, as you can see here: Caldari, Amarr, Minmatar, and Gallente. And these races used to be a little more roleplay than they are now. Right now it doesn't matter too much which one you choose, because you can cross-train into the different things for all the different races. So, to begin, we should say that these 4 races each represent a different playstyle, slightly, of EVE Online. Caldari uses shields for defense instead of armor, which is what 2 of the other races mostly use. They also use a lot of missiles and hybrid turrets. Gallente also uses hybrid turrets, and Minmatar uses projectile, and Amarr uses laser. Those are your main types of damage. There's also drones, which all races can use, but Gallente usually have some sort of bonus to them. And Gallente and Amarr are usually your 2 armor tanking races, and Minmatar and Caldari are primarily shield, though Minmatar has some very good armor tanking as well. Alrighty, so some other basic things you guys should know. When you click on each of these, they each give their own little backstory. At the moment, my recording software is not appreciating those, so I won't be clicking on them. But basically, Amarr are extremely religious and use that fervor to drive themselves into this war of empires. Caldari, who are allied with Amarr, are usually large corporations that are supposed to tend to value money and business relationships over other ties. The Minmatar are you could say, the escaped slave race of the Amarr Empire. So they're constantly trying to fight for their freedom. And then the Gallente consider themselves democratic. Um, the Caldari are a break off of the Gallente faction. And yeah, and the Amarr is the oldest group in there. That basic storyline of EVE, if you haven't looked into it, is that humanity found a wormhole, went through the wormhole, and then it closed, and they got stuck and had to repopulate and re-civilize this universe, which is called New Eden. So we're going to go with Caldari, I think, to start this off, and we'll see what happens from there. Alrighty, so I chose Caldari. I'm going to let it load up. Now, it used to be, several years ago, that which race and bloodline you chose determined your beginning attributes in the game, which affect how you skill and level. It's not so much anymore, but there will always be a special place in my heart for the Artura Stargazers, because they were supposed to be science and industry, which is what I originally wanted to do in this game. So you can choose male or female. The different types also slightly different bone structures. It's true between races, at least, if not these. And there's some specific clothing items that you get depending on which race and bloodline you choose. So we'll go ahead here. We'll make a character real quick, and I'll try to show off as many of the options as I can. And let's start. Alright, so here we go. Let's start making our character. So we're gonna go with fairly muscular, keep the weight, skin tone's fine. I don't usually mess with aging or scarring or any of that. You certainly can. There we go. Let's see. eyes, you have a lot of different choices here. You can go for no pupils, different pupil sizes. You can change the eye color. So let's give them blue eyes. Why not? Then hair, you can go for bald. There's lots of different hair options. So let's go. Why not go for a mohawk? Every Caldari needs a mohawk. And yeah, we'll stick with red hair color. That looks fine. Eyebrow options, and then lots of beard options. Give him a chin mohawk as well. Alright. Also, there's different muscle groups. Everyone starts out in their undergarments. Women are completely dressed. Everything's covered, so don't worry. You can drag around, change different aspects. You can see the highlight stuff. Do legs, arms, back, stomach, all that. So you go, it's different skin tone options, and then clothing. Give him some boots, some pants. See, there's quite a few options, quite a bit of changes you can make. Here we go. Both red pants. Alright. Tops as well. Now, some of these, for the top at least, you don't have to choose something. Like this is a good enough character I could leave right now without doing choosing one of these or what's called outerwear. In addition, you can choose outerwear without having the shirt on under it if you would like to. So, like, I could do this vest. I can then drop the shirt. There you go. So you can do all kinds of things. And then more options for different types of body markings, tattoos on the face, etc. Different piercings. Probably should give them a piercing. Stuff like piercings and hairstyle, hair color, that kind of stuff you can change later in game. The only thing you can't change is the actual shape and mold of your body, so I wouldn't be able to make him more muscular, skinnier, fatter, that kind of thing later. So go on. The next thing you do is you make a portrait for your character. This is what other players will see in game most of the time. There are options where you can view a full view of the character, but usually they'll just see this kind of headshot. There's different lightings and different poses. Usually you can get them to fold their arms, that kind of thing. So you twist the torso around, you can move them, you can zoom in, move them up and down. Some people do some very interesting portraits, and there's again a lot you can do with this. There we go. We'll go with that. Why not? Alrighty, there you go. You can see this is a portrait other people will see up in the top left. This is a full body view, which people can see, and you'll also see when you're walking around in station. You can choose your subgroup of your you call it a class within a faction, and then you can choose your school where you'd like to start off. There's usually a war academy, a science academy, and the other knowledge academy. Alrighty, so now that we've got our character, we get to give him a name. This first box, you can enter 2 names, just put a space between them, and then you get a family name. So we're going to try YouTube sensation. I know I'm spelling it wrong. Check availability. We're good. Alright. You can also randomize. It comes up with some very interesting things. So, go and save this picture, etc. Yes. And now we are entering the game of EVE Online. So when you start out, you're in Captain's Quarters. You can change this. It takes a lot of graphics and it has to do this loading every time you enter a station. So a lot of people don't leave it on for expediency's sake. So here we go. Captain's Quarters. You can tell there's some TV screens with different information in here. Different stations you can walk around to that allow you to do stuff. On the right, there's a list here. I can see everyone else who's docked on the station. I can see agents who are available. And there's different station facilities up on the right here. Different offices, things you can do. Science and industry, medical, repair, market. Here you can get back to sorry, this is mobile exchange. This one, you can get back to the recustomization. That way you can change your clothes, hairstyle, etc. as I mentioned earlier. And then we have this tutorial down here. There's also these chat windows here. When you start out, you'll get local. You always have that in normal space. Corporation, you're always stuck in a corporation. As soon as you start, you're in a NPC, your non-playable character corporation. Characters can create their own corporations, and that's really where the fun of this game starts to begin. And then there's rookie help, which you will get. You can turn off, but it's there for new players. You're automatically stuck in it for a week or two when you start a new account. So that's where you can ask silly questions like, stuck outside station, how do I dock? And then usually people will give you some sort of answer. You can decide whether or not you want to trust them or not. Sometimes they're trustworthy. See, he told me, click dock. There we go. My miniature troll / example of just how helpful people can be. They will answer the silliest of questions. So, on with this tutorial. Click next when you're ready to begin the tutorial. I might not read all of these out loud. I might not read all of these myself. We'll see. Open your new life. Navigate the tutorial. I'll do my best not to mock some of the sillier things that are in these tutorials, because some people, you gotta learn somewhere. We'll receive a starship. Good. Starships, I think, are good. Weapons and defense modules. Those will be helpful, I think. I would hope. A brand new skill. And funds. Funds are good. Money is always good. So, real quick, a few things to show off. Here's your character sheet. You access it by clicking on your portrait there. It tells you all the information, your skill points, your clone, your home system, which is where your clone goes. So when you die, or when your spaceship gets blown up in EVE, you're put in a pod. And then when your pod gets blown up, if that happens, you are sent back to your home station in a new clone. You then have to re-upgrade your clone, which is a good idea to do if you have more skill points than the clone supports. Otherwise, you will lose skill points. It is possible, if you don't upgrade your clone, to never have more than 900,000 skill points on a character if you die enough. So it's a good idea to upgrade your clone when you need to. It can get very expensive, but that takes a good year or so of playing before it really becomes any sort of inconvenience. So your background, Caldari, you're a Stargazer. Your start date, school, your current corporation, and your security status. Your security status goes down when you kill players in places where you're not supposed to, or do other things you're not supposed to be doing there. And it goes up when you do good things like killing pirates, killing players who have broken the law, etc. So you can see up here the system name, a security status. It ranges from +1 to -1. From +1 to +0.5 is what's called high sec, or high security. That's the safest place, technically, to be in EVE, though you have to worry about danger everywhere. 0.4 to 0.1 is what's called low security, where the laws are a little more relaxed. And then 0.0 to -1 is what's called null security, and that's where the players make the rules. Your security status cannot be affected by anything, and your guns make the rules. The next important thing here is to open the skill training queue real quick. EVE skills are trained in real time. Here's a list of these categories. New categories will be added as you get skill books in them. Another way you can get to it is by clicking on this bar here, which shows you what you're training. It's a good idea usually to throw in something. You should always have something training. So we're going to do engineering 4 and 5, just so that there'll be something there. As you can see, level 5 skills, the 5th rank of a skill takes longer than the previous skill ranks, etc. You can click on this to get information about the skill. And like I said, skills train in real time. You can add skills as long as your last skill in your queue starts within 24 hours of whenever you put it in. So as you can see, the skill's more than 4 days. I can do that because I only have 20 hours, 41 minutes, and 14 seconds of skills before this one starts. As soon as something gets over 24 hours, I can't add anything else. So if I wanted to throw in something after engineering, I would have to wait about 4 days and 17 hours so that there would be less than 24 hours left on this skill. You can also remove that kind of thing. Here, this tells you what the skill will do, 5% bonus to a ship's power grid per skill level. So that's handy. You can get some information on what is required, when you train things, what is now available to you after training, in terms of ships and modules, things like that. And then, here we go, primary and secondary attributes. There are 5 attributes in EVE. Each skill has a primary and a secondary. The more points you have in this attribute, the faster your training will go. Which you can get to by going to attributes. There you go. So here you got your 5 things. You can do what's called a neural remap. You get one every calendar year where you can shuffle around some of these points to make things train faster or slower. But a lot of this will be covered in the tutorial, so let's get back to that. I digress. Introduction. So this will just teach you how to reopen the tutorial. Help menus. If you have any questions, there's the Rookie Help channel. Characters will help you, I assume, usually. Though be careful, there might be some trolls or liars who are looking into tricking people into doing silly things. So, we want to start our conversation with Aura through the highlighted Agents tab of the station. Right up here. I'm already there. How about that? So, next. You speak with an agent. So this is how you get missions. You find an agent, and then you go to start conversation. And now it brings up your mission. One way you can find agents who work for NPC corporations is you find the name of the corporation or the agent usually in this list. It's not going to work with this agent at the moment, and there should be an option in the right-click menu to show info, and then you can look through the list of agents and the corporation info. So here's some information on how to accept an offered mission. You usually have a certain amount of time to accept a mission before it expires. If you let a mission expire, there's no penalty, but if you decline or reject a mission or fail to complete it after you have accepted it, you can lose standings with that agent and or their corporation. Alrighty, so our mission. Here we go, the name, covering the basics objectives. Our objective, fly to the location in space, retrieve your ship, and use it to carry back an item from a local Caldari cargo bay. So it tells you who owns the space, the location, security status, and the name of the system, which I believe is where we are. It is. There's more information over here. Sometimes they'll give you some hints, tips, etc. And then your rewards. The following reward will be given. We complete the mission. You'll get 1 shield operations skill book. Groovy. So after you've accepted, you see you have the options to complete, quit, close the window. You can also hit X. Alrighty, so it told me that this little button down here will let me undock. I'm now leaving the station and hopefully going to go get my new ship. Welcome to space. This is a pod. This is information about how to pan the camera around, in case you don't know. Left-clicking, right-clicking, scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Getting random conversations from Frank Fitz. Let's go ahead and reject that for now. See if he tries again later. So, main tool for following the overview, which is this. It tells you stations and stargates and other things. So this is just some basics about using the overview. Essentially, left click to highlight, right click for options. You can choose dock, which if you're not within the docking range of 2,500 meters of the station, it will make you either approach or warp to that area. You can look at it. You can look at the info for the station and get the description. This will tell you the list of available services, since each station is different, and things like the owner. How to identify objectives in space and on the overview by their icon. Yes. White pluses are good NPC characters, red plus signs are bad, square brackets here are other players, solid squares are stations. As I mentioned, this circular thing is a Stargate. Alright, so to get to our mission, they're saying look up here. This gives us a drop-down menu, tells us the agent, system name, and everything, and we should warp to this location. So now the engine will speed up, warp drive will go, and you'll zoom off. In order to enter warp, you gotta love telemarketers. Alright, so here we are. We just came out of warp in our first mission. As I was saying, in order to enter warp, your ship has to speed up to this tick mark here, and then it will enter warp. That takes some time. Let's zoom out a bit here and see what we got. There's another new player here, apparently. There's that rather interesting structure. There's some buttons down here, which you can use. The tactical overview is by far one of the more helpful things down there, aside from this, which we'll get to later. So let's see what we have to do now. Okay, so there's some information on left and right clicking. Boarding a ship in space. Oh, that's my ship. I can board it. Alright. I'm in a ship. Let's turn this off so we can see it better. Alrighty. Cool. So this is a Caldari beginner's ship. You will get one of these whenever you dock in a station which you do not have a spaceship at already. That way there's always something to protect your pod. As I mentioned, they can be very important. Alrighty, activating an acceleration gate. Must be what this is. Alright. Activate. As I can see now, you can watch the engines trying to speed up to this point and then entering warp. Alrighty, so here's some information about how to recognize things. This symbol here, square/diamond shape, is what's known as a can. You can jettison them out of your own ship every 3 minutes, or there are certain types you can anchor in space. The Caldari cargo rig. Here's the information, short description. So you can select approach in the right click menu, or you should be able to just double click on the item as well to approach it. And then when you want to open it, you can go to right click, open cargo. This will open up your cargo. You can see here you're going to get some clearance documents. Click on them, drag them into your ship's cargo bay, and now they're in my ship. And I believe that's all we needed to do here. Looting. Yes, also you may have noticed there was a little button down here that said loot all. You can also click that and it will move everything in the cargo container into your ship's cargo hold. And now I have to go back to the station. So we're going to right click, select dock.
Warp drive active.
you can see, we passed by a planet. There's some other icons there we'll have to investigate later. And this is what a station looks like. I tried to zoom out before it. These circles here are station guns. They will shoot you if you break the law, so don't break the law outside a station. Well, an NPC station. Player stations are a little different. Here's some information about rookie ships. Some information about completing a mission. Right click, start conversation. Complete mission. I may have to turn down these station sounds next episode. Alrighty, so now we're done. We can request another mission. We'll see what's next. Your reward. New skill book. Now we're going to check out some stuff about how to train skills. So I believe we'll need to open up our items. This is my general item hanger. And open up skill training queue. Information, certain stations that sell skills, they're seeded. Players can buy them and resell them, but there will always be some on the market for what's called the seeded price. So when you're looking for skills, there's usually 555 available that are being sold by the NPCs. So it's an easy way to look for which place to get your skills to make sure you're getting them at the lowest price possible. Alrighty, we're back. Hopefully that volume is better. So, information about skills. Alright, before we get into requesting a new mission, real quick, easiest way to start training a skill, right click, go to inject. There's also sometimes an option to train now to level 1. So now we see we've injected it. It is right here. It is an engineering skill. It will take 8 minutes to train to level 1. So we can go ahead and drag that in there. You can drag it above these other things, and once I hit apply, it will start training the first skill in the queue. So we can go ahead here, see what this is going to do for us. 5% reduction in the shield recharge time per skill level. Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and get 15%. Now as you can see, Engineering 5 dropped off because it's no longer starting within 24 hours of now. So I'll have to re-add that later. Let's go queue here. Total time, just over a day. In 50 minutes we can put Engineering 5 back in the queue if we'd like. Alright, and there you have it. Getting your first skill, completing your first mission, and we will continue with this tutorial in the next episode. This is Min, feel free. Oh, I'll show you real quick how to join me in the Podside channel. The speech bubble down here in the chat channel. Click it, then simply type in Podside, all one word. Join the channel. If the channel doesn't exist, it will create it for you, but Podside does. This has been Min. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've learned something, and I look forward to showing you more about Eve in the future.